Hello everybody, welcome to another quick video. Now this one can be slightly different today. Essentially it's not going to be much about the photography, it's going to be more about YouTube. Basically, I'm going to give you 5 reasons why you should start a photography YouTube channel in 2025 and a few reasons why you shouldn't as well. This is just from my experience running one for a couple of years now. There's a few little bits and bobs that I think, be handy to sort of share with you, and you might find it interesting. Where we are today, we're at RSPB Leighton Moss up in Cumbria. So a few sort of bird shots and bits and bobs. We're walking around the reserve. We're hoping to get some bearded tits today, which, if that works, be quite nice because they're a beautiful little bird. But we've got big white with us, and hopefully we'll get some interesting shots. But come and have a wander. I'll have a chat with you about sort of the ins and outs of what I found running a YouTube channel. So, first reason for starting a YouTube channel for photography in 2025. It will improve your photography. It makes you more focused. It gives you more of a drive because it's the sort of thing you try and sort of portray yourself out, and it gives you more of an outlet. Let's say, yes, you've got social media and stuff like that, but it gives you another way to sort of put yourself out there, and in some ways it makes you a little bit more marketable. So if you sort of want to get your name out there a little bit more, it's ideal for it. To counteract that, it also puts you out there, which means you do have to sort of up your game a little bit. So you can't just go out there and put anything out, because generally what happens is you get torn to shreds. I watch various different types of YouTube channels, from sort of camper vans, narrowboats and things like that, and you tend to find, especially the photography side, unless you are perfect on the audio, you've got things just about right. I mean, I try and hit a balance where it's nice and easy for me to produce and not sort of over the top, but the quality is good enough. If you don't do that, people tear you apart in the comments, and you'd have to be a little bit mindful that is likely to happen to you. So, if you're ready and you think you'll be able to sort of put some content out there that someone might possibly enjoy, go for it. But just hold that in the back of your mind that initially it'll feel like you're shouting into a void. You're not going to have any real audience, and you are going to have to put up with the trolls. It's part of the course. But generally, my advice is ignore them and just get on with what you're doing. Which brings me on to sort of reason 2 why you should start a YouTube channel. It'll essentially, because you're going to be wanting to diversify what you're doing and sort of the areas that you cover in, it'll make you think more about where your locations are and sort of going to explore new places. So it's quite nice to actually sort of get out and find new spots that you've not been to, new types of photography that you maybe not thought about before, and it just hones your skill set. Certainly it'll help with your ability to sort of pick a location that you think, actually that'll work quite nicely, that'll come across nicely on a video and stuff like that. So obviously we're out and about most of the time these days, and generally on the video you see like a little sort of snapshot. I mean, I did a video last year basically covering a long weekend that we're out in the van, so you see a bit more of what we'd actually do. Normally on a video I'll also get 1 a week, maybe 2 a week actually filmed, but it lets you go out, enjoy areas that ordinarily you'd think, oh well, I might go there one day, but because you're actually thinking about video content, it helps sort of bring you along a bit more and gives you that little push to get out there. And the other side to that, unfortunately, means extra cost. Now, obviously, we're doing it in a camper van, so we're actually incorporating kind of a weekend away, and we'll get a video done while we're out and about. if you're doing things just going to locations for photography, you've got to factor in the fact that you're going to have to pay for that to actually sort of go and make the video. So yeah, there's cost implied with that side of it. Obviously fuel isn't cheap these days, so you'd have to be a little bit mindful of that. It's the sort of thing where normally if we're going to a certain location, I'll try and get a couple of videos done in one go, so it sort of spreads the cost out. But yeah, that's something to consider, so that's a slight downside with it. And on to point 3. If you're doing stuff specifically for YouTube, it makes you think more about what subject you're going to do. I mean, some people will do essentially the same thing every week. So basically they'll go to a location, show you where they're shooting, tell you what the setup is, take the shot, put it up, move a little bit, do that 3 or 4 times in the video, done. I try and sort of, because for me that actually, I find that a little bit boring. I'll just go out and, yeah, like today, we're at a nature reserve, I'll do some shooting around here, various different things. And then I'll sort of, yeah, tell you a little bit about it normally. Obviously today's a little bit different, I'm doing a slightly different video, but normally I'll be sort of showing you around the reserve, telling you what's here, what sort of things you can find if you turn up. So it's, yeah, a bit of information. It does make you think that side of it, and sort of, it'll bring that side of it out, so quite nice. Very noisy bird over in the distance. But the downside with that, obviously, you've got to then be thinking about your content, and that's sort of trying to bring that on. It can be quite tough sometimes to actually come up with new ideas. I've got a notebook, basically to scribble down ideas, just titles and little notes, and that's useful to refer back to. But occasionally you just get a block, it just won't come out, it just doesn't work. But if you're sort of in places like this, normally you can get reasonable amount of bits and bobs. If you find something you've not shooting before, like this lovely marsh harriers here, like I say, we're here really for the bearded tits if they turn up. That can be a feature, so that's quite nice. Like I say, it does make it a little bit awkward sometimes because you've got to be constantly thinking about your content if you want to keep that updated. But yeah, it does move your content on, and it'll open up your horizons as well, which is quite nice. So point 4, essentially you can actually get quite a nice bit of networking between other photographers. It's been quite good for me. I've actually met up with quite a few different photographers, and that again helps you expand your skill set, and it's quite nice. You can sort of collaborate together and sort of go out and shoot, and yeah, you sort of bounce off each other. It just helps things along a bit. The other side of that as well is it can introduce you to new things, and if you're really lucky, like I say, it can actually sort of move your photography along and actually give you some kind of purpose, and in some ways, a bit of an income as well. I suppose really the downside of that is you've got to be careful not to sit there and just compare yourself. I mean, I know a few people have got sort of fairly successful channels. Mine's growing steadily, very organic, but on very much case, it's not something that is going to transform overnight. I try not to compare myself to sort of the other ones on there. Yes, you've got the bigger channels like Thomas Heaton and people like that. They've got massive subscriber counts, and it becomes, they're running a full-time system just through that. If you're doing this more sort of for fun like I am, you need to take that step back and just consider that side of it, because it can be quite downheartening if you're not sort of seeing results that you think you should do when you're putting in there, and you're comparing against other channels that seem to be going better than you are. Which brings me on to point 5, which is it can be potentially a source of income for you. That's a source of income. You really have to work for it. This is not something that comes easy and people just keep on giving you money. Even after sort of the work I've put into there, I got over 2,000 subs at the time of recording this. I'll average about £40 a month off it. Yeah, it's not going to do a great deal, and it can get very expensive. I mean, the kit I've invested in to actually sort of get this going has been quite pricey. So a quick example of what I've sort of spent to actually sort of bring the channel forward. This is not incorporated the camera gear, this is just actually sort of filming on the channel. I started with a GoPro 7, which, yeah, was alright, fairly cheap, about 150 quid I think I paid for it second hand. That was alright for a bit, and I tried various different things. I ended up filming with the own one, just with a sort of external mic, just cheap, that was about £60 for the external mic. And then sort of last year I invested in the Osmo Pocket 3, which I'm filming on now. And that, I went for the creator kit, so you get the microphone for it, extra battery packs, bits and pieces like that. That's 650 quid just for filming the videos I do. So I'm quite lucky, I'm in a well-paid enough job that I can sort of save up and do it. But you've got to factor that in. It's expensive gear-wise, and it's very expensive time-wise. If you go to the nth degree, say doing like the Thomas Heaton style videos, so you're out there doing sort of full setups, you've got this setup, that setup, you're filming yourself doing that, you plan it out like a full storyboard and stuff like that, you can lose a week just on one video. Normal edits for me take me a couple of hours to sort of set up and get processed and put up to YouTube. You're doing something like that, yeah, take a couple of 3 days. You've got to just factor that in. Yeah, time wise it can be very expensive. So you consider, you know, so your time cost, you have a monetary cost as far as setting it up, and you've got to meet the minimums as well on YouTube. I mean, a lot of channels fail very quickly because it is hard work. You've got to meet 1,000 subs. That took me about 18 months to get to 1,000 subs. That's the first minimum that you have to meet. 4,000 hours of watch time, which sounds a lot, which when you first get going, that is a lot. I mean, normally you just get started, you put a video out, unless you're really, really lucky, you maybe get 100 views on it tops, and that's a really good one. So yeah, you've got to push past that side of it that you're going to find difficult at first. But if you can push past it and stick with it and essentially put the cost to the back of your mind, yeah, eventually you can start earning from it. I don't think the days of, you know, sort of having massive YouTube channels from scratch now, where you can just go out there and sort of within a year use it as an income, are really available now. Maybe they'll come back in future, but yeah, just as that as its income, I don't think is available anymore. But as long as you enjoy what you're doing, and essentially leading it's another outlet. You can have a bit of a play with it, and you know, essentially you're just using it as development of your own shots. Yeah, it's a great way of sort of enjoying photography in a slightly different way and sharing it with other people. So there we go. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of an insight to what it's like actually running a YouTube channel these days. I'd say it's not the big glamour that you tend to see sort of portrayed by some of the larger channels. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of expense sometimes, and it does sort of take quite a lot of time out of your week, especially when you sort of think about places to go, and sort of you've got to sort of really sort of work hard at it. But I'd still say go and do it. It lets you express yourself in a completely different way to sort of just take a photo, pop it on social media. It lets you just push that out there. So have a go, and see how you get on with it. But if you've enjoyed the video, if it's been useful for you, please do give us a big thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button and see more of me from this sort of thing every week. But from Leighton Moss in Cumbria, thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time. Take care.